All right, everybody. In this video, we are going to cover the basics of Packet Tracer. We're not going to do anything crazy, just kind of a basic setup and how to find some of the most used tools for setting up a basic LAN. So let's start with the devices. If you go to the bottom left corner, we have different tabs that we can click on to show us different types of network devices and end devices. So let's start by adding a router. So if I click network devices here, you can see along the bottom corner, we have different options within that category. So let's start with a router and we can scroll over here. We're just going to use a generic router, and you can just click and drag it and place it up in your workspace here. And you can move it around after you place it. Don't worry about that. Let's go back down here and grab a switch. We're just going to use the PT switch, just a generic switch here, and drag it into our workspace. Let's go over to end devices now, and let's get a PC, and let's do a server. Right, and you can configure this, like if you like it, formatted, placed in a specific place, you can move them around and whatnot. So let's move to connecting them together. If you click the little lightning bolt here, this is where we do our connections. And there's different kinds of cabling to choose from, but we know like inside of a LAN, we like just Ethernet cables, which is going to be this one, which is called copper straight through. So if I click this, I'm going to click on where I want it connected. So like if I want to connect my PC to the switch, I would click on the PC, and it's going to ask me which port I want to plug it into. And in Packet Tracer, you're going to see Ethernet ports labeled as fast Ethernet. So I'm going to select that, and then I have to do the same thing on my switch. So I'm going to click again, and this one has a lot more additional ports to choose from. We're just going to pick one of our basic fast Ethernet ports here. So I'm just going to do 0-/1. All right. So that's going to connect the two of these together. But we also need to connect our other devices. So let's connect our server to our switch next. We're also going to use an Ethernet cable. So I'm going to click, select my Ethernet port, go to my switch, and I'm going to pick the next port here. And it doesn't matter which fast Ethernet port it gets plugged into. Lastly, we're going to connect our switch. I'm going to do my next Ethernet port here up to the router. Again, just going to pick one of my fast Ethernet options. Okay, so everything's connected, but it's not actually functional yet. So the really cool thing about Packet Tracer is you can simulate the network. You can send traffic across this network and test to see if it works. So let me make this a little bigger, easier to see. Okay. Right now we have labels showing up. It is good to know that if you click on these, you can change them. We can also add additional labels. So let's do that, because we're going to mark what the IP addresses for our devices are going to be first. And then we're going to actually set those IP addresses. So I'm going to come up to the top bar here. And I am going to click this button, which is going to let me place a note. I'm just going to click right here. This is going to be our PC, and we are going to use an IP address of 192.168.0.2. Don't worry too much about why I'm choosing the IP addresses I am right now. We'll talk about that more down the road. Our router is going to be 192.168.0.1, and our server is going to be 192.168.0.254. Okay. Now, right now, I still have the note tool selected, so I actually have to go back over here to my selection tool and click that to make it go away. And the nice thing is I can move these labels to wherever I want them to be. I can also click back inside them and edit them, so it's not permanent. If you mess something up, you can just go through and change it to whatever you want it to be. Okay. So let's actually go in and configure the IP addresses on these three devices. We don't need to give an IP address to our switch. but our PC, our server, and our router actually need IP addresses in order for them to talk to each other. Okay, so we're going to click on our PC first. So when you click on a device, it's kind of cool. There's these different tabs along the top here. So like the physical tab, you can see the physical layout of like what this PC that we're using looks like. We can see the different ports that it has that we can connect to and so on. We're going to want to go over to config, and we're going to set some settings. We're going to go down to the Ethernet port because this is where we actually plugged into. We're going to select this, and then we're going to have to set some values here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is make sure that our port status is on, right? Like it's actually usable. It is turned on. The duplex should automatically set to full duplex, but if it's not automatically set, make sure that full duplex is selected. And then we're going to do the IP configuration. We're not going to do any IPv6. We're just going to do IPv4. Okay, so right now static is selected. That's what we want. And if you look over at our label, we said that this was going to have an IP address of 192.168.0.2. The subnet mask should automatically fill in when you click. We're just going to use that default there. Again, we will talk about what subnet masks are down the road. Don't worry about it right now. We also need to set the default gateway. So if you go up here under global to settings, we need to set the default gateway, which is our router. Okay, it is the router that this is connected to. That is just a terminology, a phrase that we use to describe our router in a LAN. It's pretty common. Okay, so we're going to set this default gateway. It is going to be the IP address of the router. Okay. And again, we're not going to worry about the IPv6. We're just going to set the static default gateway address. And oops, I hit enter too soon. All right, hold on. 162.0.1 done. Okay. So now this PC is all set up. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our router next. Okay, same thing. When I click on it, I can see the physical part. This is what it looks like, all of the different ports on the router itself. But we're going to go over to config again, and we are going to configure the port that we actually plugged into. And I don't remember which one it was, so let's back up here a second. If I hover over this, I should be able to see the different ports. It looks like, you know what, the smartest thing to do, I'm just going to click my wire here, and then I'm going to reconnect it. And okay, so I'm doing fast Ethernet 0/0. Okay, so we need to know that. Let's go into config again. We're going to go to that Ethernet port, and we are going to set our address. Okay, now by default, the ports are going to be turned off, so we need to turn it on. Again, we're going to want to make sure that it is full duplex. We're not going to have any wireless stuff for now, so I'm just going to select that. And then I'm going to configure my IP address. Let's move this off to the side, which is 192.168.0.1. Subnet mask, we'll just use the default here. Okay. Now, by doing that, we actually put our router online. These little lights are turning green now because there's actually a signal that port that we're plugged into is active, and that router is now functional. Now, the last thing we need to do is set our server's IP address, and we also need to point it to the default gateway, which again is our router up here. So we're going to go to config. We plugged into fast Ethernet 0 on our server. This is where we're going to set the IP address for the server itself. Again, check our settings up top here. We're setting a static IP address of 192.168.0.254, and we'll use the default subnet mask again. Now, global settings, we need to set our default gateway, just like we did for our PC. The default gateway, again, is our router, so 192.168.0.1, and we are good to go. All right, so the labels, right, those didn't actually do anything. The labels are just little notes to ourselves. It's also helpful, I think, to label what ports you are plugging into. Like if we hover over our switch here, you can see that in the box that shows up, it shows that for Fast Ethernet 0//1, the link is up. For Fast Ethernet 1/1, it's up. 2/1 is also up. Those are the devices that we have active and connected. Okay, so it registers that there are active things like plugged into those ports that can communicate. So let's actually test communication. Let's say I wanted to send a packet from my PC to my router. We can do that with the ping tool, which we've used in Linux before in the terminal. If I click on my PC here, one of the options is desktop. And if we click on this, it's actually going to simulate a desktop kind of environment for that PC. And one of the options is a command prompt, which is going to allow us to run commands like ping. So we're going to open this up. And what we're going to do is we're going to send a packet to our router. I'm going to do ping, and then I'm going to do the IP address 192.168.0.1. And if we have successfully set up our connection, this should give us some replies back. We should get some successful ping packets sent and received. Okay, so you can see we are pinging the router with 32 bytes of data. We got replies back from the router. So we know that we were able to successfully send packets. We successfully received packets. So our communication between the server, or I'm sorry, not the server, the PC and the router is good. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try pinging the server from our PC, right? So our PC over here, I want it to talk to the server over here. So I'm going to do another ping request, but this time I'm going to do the IP of my server, okay? And we should get the same thing, right? We ping the server, we get responses back. You can see we had 4 packets sent, 4 packets received, nothing was lost, perfect, right? The last connection that we should try here is server to the router. So if I want to ping from the server, I need to open the server, go to its desktop, command prompt, and then we'll do the same set of steps here. Ping 192.168.0.1, and we can see that, again, we are successful. So these are the basics of Packet Tracer. Something that you kind of got to get used to here is how you can move things on this screen. Like if you don't like things where they are, you can zoom in, like, you know, you got the zoom in up here, the zoom out, you got the reset. You can also, if you don't like where things physically are, you can just select the whole thing like this and then click and drag. And if you want it to like be recentered or something like that, you can do that. Something else I would probably recommend doing is adding some labels for what ports you're connected to. So like, for example, my PC here, I just disconnected. I'm plugging it into Fast Ethernet 0/1. So it'd probably be smart for me to put a label here that it's in Fast Ethernet 0/1. So now I know, like, okay, my PC, this connection right here, I am plugged into this port on that switch. And having those labels for each connection can be kind of helpful. If you want to rename your stuff, you can change these labels. You can just straight up delete them if you want. It is up to you, but it is helpful to have things labeled, especially as things get more complicated. It's going to be very nice to have things easily accessible so that you don't have to like hover over it and have the information pop up. It's really nice if it's just there on your screen. Okay, so that's it for this video. We're going to spend a lot more time in Packet Tracer as the semester goes on. This is just a really quick crash course, just the basics of how Packet Tracer works.